Hello, this is the last video of the Praktika Recall Management System series. This is part 3. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, I would recommend you do so, because this video is a direct continuation of the first and the second parts. So part 3 of this video will deal with the recall groups and recall groups management. Recall groups is a place where the recalls are actually managed. Unlike recalls due screen, which was an intermediate stage only to organize the recalls into groups and then subsequently manage them. So I'm going now to the patient directory, recall management, and I am where we left at video 2 at the recalls due screen. I have organized all my recalls due patients into the groups. That's why, hence my list here is empty. There are no more recalls I need to organize, and I can now proceed to actually managing them. To do so, I will go to recalls group management, and I will just look at this particular screen. So from the first glance, I can see I have 4 groups of recalls to manage. So the recall groups have their header, which describes their name, or displays their name, description of the group, the date it was created on, as well as the assignee. Assigning it to a particular person is possible, but it's not critical at this stage. It'll be a part of the new Praktika's task list functionality. At this point of time, this is just a feature which precedes the introduction of the new utility. Now, there's also an indicator in the right top corner of the header, which displays 2 numbers, one on the green background and one on the red background. The number on the red background displays how many recalls are contained within the group. So if I open the group, I will see that there are 3 recalls in this particular group. The number on the left, the green number, displays how many of those recalls or how many of those patients have appointments in the future. So there are nobody in this particular group who has appointment in the future. There is one person in this group who has an appointment in the future, and his name is Drago Lipster. So he's got an appointment on the 13th of December 2013. So there are no appointments for this group, and there is one appointment for that group. Creating an appointment with the patient is a purpose of a recall, so that the patient comes back to your clinic, and so you can actually provide a continuous patient care. But the creation of the appointment is not considered by the system as a success of the recall. We have to wait up until the point or time when the appointment is completed, because the patient may not turn up. There may be an FTA or cancellation, or the appointment can be rescheduled. And if it is rescheduled, in some time in the future, we'll have to wait till that point when the appointment is completed. Once the appointment is completed, a recall is considered to be successful, finished, and it will be then removed from the recalls management section. Up until that point, even though we may create an appointment, it still stays here in the group. It will have an indicator, though, that there is an appointment. There will be a green star there, and there'll be a date of the next appointment, but it still stays in the group up until that appointment is completed. So once it is completed, it will then be removed from the group. If we open the group, you will see that there's some information regarding the actual recall. The first column shows how many rescheduled recalls this particular person had. All these guys, well, apart from the last one, this is the first time recall. So that's the first time we try to contact them, although we may have contacted them several times using different means of communication, but it is still one and the same recall. The last person, this is the second recall. What it means that the first recall must have been unsuccessful. So we tried to communicate, tried like this, tried like that, and it wasn't working for whatever reason. The person may be overseas or changed the address, telephone number, changed the name. We just couldn't reach the person. So the recall was rescheduled. Second time we are trying to get to this person, and it just indicates that this is our second attempt to reach this person. I guess after probably second attempt or third attempt, this recall probably would most likely need to be cancelled, because if we can't reach the person for such a long time, there's probably no point in trying. We list also the recall date, the type of the recall notes, if any, the next appointment, the days elapsed since the last attempt, so since the last communication, last action. This is important because this is an indicator of our actions. And you can see that as 0, so it means that we have had some sort of a recall action today. So the elapsed time since the last time I tried to contact the person, or these recalls, is 0. If we look at the other group, we can see that there's been 3 days since we tried, or since we contacted or attempted to contact those patients. On the right side of that, there's a last column with actions. So there's a timeline of actions displaying what sort of actions were occurring during this recall. They are done in descending order, so the latest one will be at the top. And from what I can see here is that there were 3 telephone calls, 2 of them were successful, and 1 of them was a failed call. Here there's only 1 failed call. If I want to see details, I can click on that and I can see that there was a reminder, some sort of a call, and the call failed, no answer, on the 3rd of December at 1 o'clock. The days displayed since last action would also work as a prompt, prompting you to do something if there has been a long time since your last communication with the patient. If we look at the last group, you will see that there are some recalls which would have that field red and with an exclamation mark indicating that you need to take some sort of action. It says, please perform a recall action or consider rescheduling, cancellation, or removal of the recall. So it's been almost a month since the last telephone call, and nothing has been happening ever since. No appointment is created and no result whatsoever coming out from the appointment. So we can take an action, so add an action, and as an individual action for this particular recall, we can either record a telephone call, so try to reach the patient. So I may just try to reach the patient, click on the phone, call, and I say I spoke to the patient, reason for calling recall. I can write a message here, or just write down the conversation as it happened. I can use templates. For example, I spoke and the patient confirmed the visit, or something like that. So just double click there. Or I can just write patient asked to call back next week, for example. Something like that. But it's a successful call. So I'll just record that there and close, and you will see that that indicator now is gone, so it's not red anymore, and the days elapsed since the last visit, since the last communication is now 0. So if I look at my group here, I will probably see a few people whose recalls or whose last communication is past the threshold amount. You can set up the threshold amount yourself in the practice management section. So if we go to management and go to practice details recalls, this is the number of days which are or the threshold after which the column will show the red background and an exclamation mark prompting you for some action. So at the moment it's 14 days since the communication. If no outcome, it'll just show you that in red. So you can see that some of the recalls here are more than 1 year old. Obviously, it shouldn't be happening. This is a mismanagement. There must be some kind of action. If not an attempt to contact, then we either need to remove it from the recall, reschedule that recall, maybe put it to another 6 months. So if I reschedule, say, okay, look, we should probably try again in 3 months, or we may reschedule it to next week or something, for example. So in 3 months, write a new note and reschedule the recall so that that recall will not be lost. We can try to contact the person, recording a telephone call or sending an SMS or send an email or print a card or something. So, but that shouldn't really be happening. So this is a mismanaged recall which requires attention. With regards to the recall actions, there are group actions and there are individual recall actions. So to access an individual recall action, you need to go to a particular recall, go to the last column, and click either on plus or just click on the column. So the pop-up window comes up with the individual recall actions and the records as well of the actions. And here you can record a telephone call, incoming or outgoing or failed. So you can print a document for a patient. So you can go there, select a particular document like recall template or something, and print it out or email it, by the way. You can save it to the patient's communication file. It will also show it here in the timeline. You can print a dimer label. So just a sticker with the patient address to stick it on the card or something. You can send an SMS, individual SMS, although the patient have chosen not to use SMS for the communication, maybe because it's just a home number, no mobile. You can send an email as well. Again, you can go there, select text or create a new text, blank text there, and email it to the patient. I'm not going to email it, and just email it to the patient. So these are individual actions. You can also apply actions like remove from the recall group, meaning that it will go back to the recall's due, reschedule the recall, setting a new recall date, or cancel the recall completely and entirely. So these are individual actions. Apart from that, there are also group actions. To get the group action, just go into the group row and click on the group action there. So they're similar to individual actions. It's just they would include all the group members or selected group members. I may exclude or include anyone here to apply the action to. So I can record the telephone calls with one click. I can just say, okay, I'll say spoken to patient. Patient will call again, something like this, for example, and can save, and it goes to all three persons. So you will see that it'll be updated for all the three persons. I can print here documents, mail merge. Just go there, select a particular document, like this, for example, and update, create document printing with the header, without the header. I will say with the header, save the file to communication, and just print it. I will just print it to a screen, show PDF in preview. And this is the documents. So it's a mail merge. So for all three patients, I've just printed the document. I can send the group SMS, mass SMS, to all those three patients, and I can send emails to them as well. I can also reschedule them, all of them together, or selected ones. I can cancel the recalls for all of them, or I can remove them from here. I can also export the data to Excel spreadsheet from here as well. And I can edit the group details, the name of the group, description of the group, and the assignee. So these are all the group actions available for the recalls uh, and for the recalls management. You can also move patients from one group to another by merely dragging them, drag in, drag out from one group to another. Sometimes it may not be very convenient because you may have huge lists and they can't fit on the screen, and you will find it hard to drag. In that case, you can remove the person from one group back to the due list and then add that person to another group. So what I'll do, I'll just go to this Edward Trustworthy, and I'll move him from September to September 14 group. So I'll just go to add action and remove from recall group, agree to that, go to recalls due. He should appear here now. Select him and add to an existing group, recalls for September 2014. So go back to recall group and he will appear here now. There are 4 people now in this group, so he was moved from one group to another in this particular manner. So that will conclude the part 3 of the recall management series. We may at some stage consider recording another video for the recall management to cover the topics we may have omitted in these 3 videos. And also, once the new features get released, we obviously will record a video with those new features and post it on YouTube. So please follow either our Facebook or our newsletters for the updates on the videos. Thank you.